Where are you now? Are you safe? Half shouting, I try to check on Mark, who might be at the scene of the fire. However, he responds over the phone in a dismissive tone. What's up all of a sudden? I'm at work, you know that. And don't call me while I'm working. He grumbled in an annoyed tone and quickly hung up. There's no way anyone could work normally at the scene of a fire. Knowing Mark wasn't at his workplace, I was convinced of his betrayal. I decided to carry out the plans I had been making. I'm Lisa Matthews, 29 years old. I work as a nurse at a hospital, dealing with many patients every day. I've always been called considerate and caring, and even now, as an adult, I love helping people. That's why I think being a nurse is my calling. I have a beloved husband, Mark, and we've been married for 2 years, enjoying life in his company housing. I met Mark 3 years ago through a mutual friend. At a gathering of several friends, Mark quickly got drunk and passed out early. Whether it was my nature as a nurse or just my personality, I couldn't leave the drunken Mark alone, so I took care of him at my house despite it being our first meeting. The next day, Mark, remembering nothing, said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." Which made me burst out laughing. I explained the situation to him, clarifying that nothing inappropriate had happened, and he apologized sheepishly. That's how our relationship started, and after a year of dating, we got married. Now, as we approach our 3rd year of marriage and although we don't have children yet, I believe we can build a warm family together. However, Mark has been working more weekends lately, and even when he comes home from work, he often seems distant. Moreover, even when we're sitting on the couch watching TV together, he's always on his phone, often letting out big sighs. At first, I wondered, did I do something to upset him, and I would reflect on my actions, but nothing came to mind. Gradually, I began to worry about Mark's health, so I started researching balanced meals and made sure to prepare nutritious lunches and dinners. Then, one day, my hospital operates on a 2-shift system of day and night shifts, and that day I was originally scheduled for the night shift. However, the day before, a colleague asked me to switch shifts, so I suddenly had to change to the day shift. I had originally told Mark I had the night shift, so I planned to inform him of the change, but I got busy and ended up telling him that day. I emailed, "I switched to the day shift today, so I'll cook dinner and wait for you," but I didn't get a response for a while. Thinking he was busy, I focused on my work, and a few hours later, I got a simple reply, "Got it." He used to reply quickly, even at work, sometimes using emojis in his messages, but lately it's just one-word replies. Is he that busy, or is this what happens after 2 years of marriage? Feeling a bit lonely, I hurried home, determined to buy ingredients at the supermarket and make another nutritious meal today. Not to brag or anything, but today's meal turned out well. I plated the meal, took a picture, and posted it on my cooking account on social media. I've been working hard on cooking for Mark, but lately, I've also been into posting pictures of meals I cooked on social media. A few minutes after posting a picture, I got a notification from the social media app. Yay! Another quick comment. One of my cooking buddies I've met through my social media cooking account has been commenting frequently these days. The different kind of connection from my workplace friends was refreshing and made me happy. While I was doing this, Mark came home from work, and as I was waiting to have dinner together, I hurriedly reheated the food. "Welcome back, dinner's ready. How was your day today?" "Yeah, thanks." "Well, yeah, it was tiring. By the way, I heard you suddenly switched to the day shift." I saw Mark, now in his loungewear, looking tired as he sat down, and I brought over the reheated dinner. "Yeah, a colleague had an emergency. Sorry for the late notice." I sat down with him, and we started eating. "Well, it was a sudden change, so I get it. But I'd appreciate it if you could let me know earlier next time. I might have plans to go out with my colleagues." "Oh, right, got it." As I said that, I noticed Mark wasn't eating much. Is the food not good? Could it be that he didn't like it? Worried, I asked him, and Mark's hand holding the cutlery froze. Then, with a somewhat awkward expression, he began to speak. Oh, no, that's not it. I just don't have much of an appetite. Sorry, I'll eat it for breakfast tomorrow. Mark let out a nervous laugh, said, thanks for the meal, and got up from the table and headed towards the bathroom. The food left on the table was still more than half untouched. I knew it. With a feeling of certainty, I followed Mark to the bathroom. Hey, are you feeling sick? You don't look well recently, and I'm worried, so please go to the doctor. Mark, who was brushing his teeth in the bathroom, rinsed his mouth and laughed off my concerns. I'm fine. Oh, maybe it's just because I haven't been exercising lately. I think I'll go for a walk. With that, Mark got ready and quickly headed for the front door. I said, I'll go with you, but he gently declined. Growing even more worried, I decided to secretly follow him. Just in case he collapsed, I wanted to be able to help right away. Though that was my excuse, deep down, I might already have had other worries. Those worries were soon confirmed as I started following him. Contrary to my worries, Mark was walking cheerfully and stopped in front of a park a bit away from our house. Then he looked around nervously and seemed to be texting someone on his phone. Suddenly, a white car pulled up. Mark approached the white car and exchanged a few words with the driver. It was dark and hard to see. I got a bit closer to the car and caught sight of the driver. A young woman with long, wavy hair that gave a seductive impression. The moment I saw that, I instinctively took out my phone and turned on the camera. Mark got into the passenger seat. The woman smiled at him. I instinctively took a picture of them, and when I came to my senses, the car with the two of them had already driven away. Shock, confusion, and doubt swirled through my head, leaving me frozen. Then, I received an email from Mark saying, I ran into a friend, so I'll be home a bit late. A friend? By chance? The scene from earlier was burned into my mind, and I couldn't bring myself to believe Mark's words. That day, Mark didn't come home until after 1 a.m. My anxiety was at its peak, and with tears streaming down my face, I showed Mark the photo I had taken. Mark froze when he saw the photo, then quickly forced a smile and said, oh, that's a client I ran into while walking. I was just giving advice, there's nothing going on. Please believe me, he said, with a sad look that made it clear he wouldn't tolerate further questioning. After that, Mark became very busy, and he often had to work overtime on the days I had the day shift. Even amid our mismatched schedules, I tried to find time to talk about the incident, but he would refuse, saying he was too tired. Overtime yesterday, working on a day off today. Is he? During work, whenever I let my guard down for a moment, I would remember the faces of Mark and that woman, and I couldn't focus. After finishing my night shift, the morning sun stung my tired eyes. I realized that lately, I've been so worried and anxious that I hadn't taken care of myself, so I stopped by a bakery and bought a cake. Feeling a little better, I left the shop and took a different route home. This area has many hotels, and you often see couples with complicated stories, but it was quiet because it was early morning. As I walked carefully to avoid ruining the cake, I thought, I have some tea at home, maybe I'll enjoy it with the cake. I glanced across the street and saw a young couple coming out of a hotel. I looked over casually and froze. It was Mark, squinting his sleepy eyes and smiling, and the young woman with long, wavy hair from the car smiling back at him. The cake slipped from my hand and fell to the ground with a splat. In my mind, which had gone blank, only the sense of duty to leave evidence remained. With trembling hands, I took out my phone and snapped a picture of the two of them smiling, arm in arm. The picture of the two looked like a couple. My heart was pounding, and I broke out in a cold sweat. As I feared, Mark had been lying to me. In my view were the cake box on the ground and the photo of the two of them. Staring at them blankly, I thought to myself, I can't stay with him anymore. After all that happened, my doubts about Mark turned into certainty, and the word divorce started to feel real. A few days passed, and one day, I was on the day shift, busy as usual with my duties. While I was handling a phone call, I heard fire truck sirens in the distance, passing nearby. It wasn't just one fire truck, but 2 or 3 in a row, so I started to worry that there was a fire somewhere. After finishing the phone call and taking a breath, 2 colleagues who had been in the patient rooms returned, gossiping about something. "Hey, did something happen?" Thinking there might have been trouble, I asked, and they whispered, "There was a fire at Company A, a patient we passed in the hallway mentioned it." Company A, fire. As soon as I heard those words, a cold sweat ran down my back. I excused myself from my colleagues, grabbed my phone, and hurried to a secluded spot. Company A, where the fire occurred, was where Mark worked. Praying to God, I called Mark. This morning, like always, I had seen him off to work. Since the incident, we hardly saw each other at home and rarely talked to each other, but I never missed a day seeing him off in the morning. "Please, pick up." As if my prayers were answered, I heard Mark's voice after a few rings. "Where are you now? Are you safe?" Half shouting, I tried to check on Mark's safety, but he responded in a dismissive tone. "What's with the sudden call?" "I'm at work, you know that." "Don't call me while I'm at work," he said in an annoyed tone and immediately hung up. The disconnected tone buzzed in my ear. From the way Mark sounded, I felt relieved that he wasn't caught in the fire, but something felt off. There's no way anyone could work normally at the scene of a fire. Moreover, his words and attitude, which trampled on my concern, made me increasingly angry. Mark probably isn't at work now. I saw him off to work as usual today, but the place he went to surely wasn't his workplace. Since we got married, I might have been unknowingly seeing him off to another woman. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw those long, wavy locks swaying. Resolving myself, I called someone from the phone I was holding. After finishing work, I hurried home and began packing up all the furniture and appliances in the house. Then, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, it wasn't Mark but a friend from college. This friend knew about my situation with Mark and had volunteered to help me with my escape. I called from work and asked for help with moving my things at short notice, and she gladly agreed. "Thank you so much. Let me treat you to something next time." Feeling apologetic, I said this, and she responded with a smile, "You've been through a lot. I'm always here to help." I felt grateful for having such a good friend, and my heart, which had been feeling down lately, warmed a bit. Together, we moved out the furniture and appliances, and loaded the clothes I had packed weeks earlier into the car. The room, now empty of the furniture and appliances I had used since before I was married, looked bare and desolate. Looking at the empty room, I asked myself if I had any lingering attachment to my past life. No, I don't need it anymore. Without any regrets, I turned on my heel and headed to the apartment near my workplace. You see, the day I saw Mark coming out of the hotel with the woman, I went straight to a real estate agency. I hadn't firmly decided to divorce yet, but I had rented an apartment just in case. Thinking I had made a good decision, I checked the items I had brought into the apartment and started unpacking. Suddenly, I remembered something and took out my phone. I held the phone to my ear, waiting for the automated voice guidance. A few hours later. After unpacking my things, I took a break, and that's when I received a call. I checked the display and saw the name Mark. I took a deep breath and waited a moment before answering. "Hello. Lisa, where are you? I came home, and the house is empty, and my phone isn't working. What the hell is going on?" Most of the stuff in the house was originally mine, so I took it. The phone was under my name, so I cancelled it. I could sense his panic over the phone, but I calmly stated the facts. "By the way, you can't use your phone, right?" "Well, I connected to Wi-Fi, so I can only call you through a different app." "But wait, you took your stuff? What, are you planning to leave me?" Even at this point, Mark still didn't grasp the situation, and my frustration grew. "Are you serious? Don't tell me you forgot about the call earlier today. No one can work calmly in a building that's on fire." Trying to control my voice from shaking with anger, I asked the question I'd wanted to ask all day, or rather, for a long time. "If you weren't at work, where and with whom have you been spending your time?" Mark swallowed hard and fell silent at my question. After a brief silence, unable to withstand my silent pressure, Mark finally spoke, resigned. The story about running into a client while on a walk was a lie. She's actually a colleague from work, and I was at her place today. The story Mark told was exactly what I had expected. He had been seeing the company receptionist, Sarah, for about 6 months. They had been meeting on the days I worked night shifts. But recently, Sarah had been whining more, and he had been lying about working overtime or on weekends to see her. And today, they had both taken the day off and were at her place when she got the call about the fire from the office. After spilling everything, Mark still pleaded over the phone to forgive him. "You've got to be kidding me. I'm glad I finally heard the truth from you, Mark. It was a short marriage, but I tried my best to build a good home." I could hear Mark trying to stop me, but I ignored him and continued. "Please divorce me because of your affair. We'll discuss the alimony through our lawyers. Goodbye." Mark seemed like he wanted to say more, but my firm attitude left him resigned, and he just muttered, "Okay." Later, the fire at Company A was reported on the local news, indicating it was quite a significant event. Watching the report, I was stunned. Shockingly, the culprit was Mark's affair partner, Sarah. Early in the morning, Sarah had snuck into the company's meeting room, frayed the edge of a curtain, and set it on fire with a lighter. The fire quickly spread to the entire curtain, and the meeting room was completely destroyed. Fortunately, the building itself suffered only partial damage, but security camera footage revealed that Sarah was responsible for the fire. As for her motive, Sarah said, "The married man I was seeing wouldn't divorce, and even threatening to expose the affair didn't work. I thought this was the only way." Honestly, I couldn't understand why she would go to such lengths to be with Mark. However, according to her colleagues, Sarah often complained about being lonely. Did she envy a married man who seemed to have everything and think that being with him would fill her loneliness? Then I thought, it's much harder to feel lonely even when you're with someone. Since talking about the divorce, I hadn't been in direct contact with Mark, but the divorce proceedings were moving forward through our lawyers. During this time, I heard about what was happening at Mark's company. After the fire, Mark, who really knew nothing, was very surprised when he heard the truth from the company's HR. Sarah was soon arrested, and their relationship quickly spread throughout the company. His colleagues gossiped about Mark and Sarah's affair, and gradually, fake rumors started spreading like fire. Unable to withstand such gossip, Mark resigned from the company. Hearing all this, I felt a bit of sympathy but also thought it was Mark's own fault for choosing another woman. With that thought in mind, I calmly proceeded with the divorce process, and it was successfully finalized. The photo I had taken earlier of Mark's affair made things go smoothly. Additionally, the alimony was paid in full from Mark's severance pay. With all ties to Mark completely severed, I was thoroughly enjoying my single life in my new apartment. Until now, I had prioritized taking care of others, possibly neglecting myself. While continuing my job as a nurse, I started taking time to enjoy cooking for myself, which had been my greatest joy during my marriage to Mark. In the morning, I opened the apartment window, letting fresh air into the room. Looking outside, I saw a happy family of 3 walking together. Seeing them didn't make me feel any regret, instead, I felt excited about the future. Then, my phone buzzed, and when I checked it, I couldn't help but smile. Someone I had connected with through my cooking account on social media, and I had hit it off and quickly became friends. We had planned to cook together today. I replied to the message saying, "I'll be there soon," and immediately started preparing the meal we would cook.